Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another instant analysis. It's about that time of the month. We got party card information last night, and oh boy, did Bushiroad / Mynet drop an absolute bomb. First so the party card is Mari. We'll talk about that shortly. The SR is Colorful Dreams, Colorful Smiles, Setsu. Stat line is actually not bad for an SR, and that's kind of the caveat for an SR. 87, 82 base appeal at max limit break is not anything that you should take kind of lightly. Like, there are going to be people that, like, you know, to try and challenge themselves, right? They may say, okay, let me try and do, like, you know, a certain Niji song with only SRs versus using URs. This Setsuna SR is really, really strong. And not surprisingly, it's an active attribute voltage type card. The tap active is pretty good for an SR because it's an appeal buff. However, it only applies to other Niji cards, as does the passive. So that does tamper a little bit of its, like, upper end availability. Not that you're going to use this for, like, a challenge song or anything. But, you know, for those of you trying to do, like, little challenges and stuff like that with, like, your SR cards or whatever, you know, this does kind of tamper it just a little bit, you know, forces you to do, you know, same school stuff and all that. LSA is blah. It's whatever. It's only a 1% voltage gain to Niji cards. But here is where we get into the nitty-gritty. Party Mari. At max limit break, 13,325 base appeal, 6,834 base stamina, 14,007 base technique. Now, the stats are good, right? Stats are good. You know, you're looking at 13,000, 6,800, and 14,000. That is a very good stat line. Right? The card has a crit profile, so as you can see right here, it is a 57% crit rate, kind of like as a bare bones card. That doesn't include bond bonuses, bomb board bonuses, and all that kind of stuff. Okay? Here's where it gets kind of crazy. For the second limited banner in a row, we have another filler. 33, so standard skill activation rate, maximum 9% gauge fill. Passive is a 5.2% appeal buff and a 2.6% technique buff to all cards at max skill level. Then the thing that got everybody up in arms, her live show active, which says on SP Burst, buff increase skill activation rate by 15% for the next 5 notes for cards in this strategy. I wonder where we've heard that before. Oh, yeah! It's her! So, we now have 2 cards that have the same live show active that has basically altered team building strategies for item exchange voltage rankings and SBLs that have advanced beat maps, right? This Party Kotori changed how you built your teams. This Mari will also change, again, how you build your teams. Okay? But if we want to nitpick at the differences, right? If we want to nitpick at the differences, we know that the live show active is the same. However, the passives are different, right? Party Kotori has a same strategy passive, which is very, very good if you're single stratting, right? So let's say you're doing this item exchange voltage ranking and you're playing Water Blue New World, right? The team that I'm running for Water Blue New World is Party Umi, Party Kanata, and this Kotori, right? And because it's a strategy buff, you obviously don't need to worry about staying on attribute and stuff like that. However, same thing kind of applies to Mari here, her being a pure attribute SP type card, but she gives an all buff. So if you add these two cards in the same strategy, 8.4% appeal buff with a 5.2% appeal buff, so that's 13.6% of appeal buffing just coming off of these two cards if you put them in the same strategy. Also, a 2.6 plus 4.2% technique buff, so that's 6.8% of technique buff that you also get putting both of these cards in the same strategy. Now, a very prevalent strategy that people are using because it's probably the best way to go for these advanced beat map songs is you actually run a more or less a dual strategy composition. So like I said before, right? I have Water Blue New World, I have Party Umi, Party Kanata, Party Kotori, right? Then I have a secondary strat that has Second Fest Setsuna, Second Fest Rina, and depending on the song, you can put in, like, say, if you need healing, you can put in Noble Princess Rico, right? So that gives you 2 strategies worth of 3 SP type cards. What can you do with that? Well, now, having, you know, a Second Fest Setsu or First Fest Emma, or both in your secondary strategy, you can now get more gauge fill if let's say you're heading up right up against an appeal chance, you switch into your secondary strategy. Let's say you get one of those, you know, gauge fill, you know, switch procs from First Fest Emma or Second Fest Setsu. Right as you get into your next, like, voltage AC or whatever, you hit the first note of the voltage AC, boom, you hit your gauge. Your bracelets refill, boom, you hit the gauge again. Then, when you're ready to switch back, you switch back to your main strategy, and then now that's 2 switches you've done. That's 2 chances to proc either Second Fest Setsu or First Fest Emma. And this really, really helps with that kind of snowball of SP gauges and scoring through your gauge. So don't be surprised to see either strategies that have, let's say, Party Kotori, Party Mari, and whatever the best on attribute card is, or you run 2, like a dual strategy, one with Party Kotori, one strategy that has Party Kotori in it, the other that has Party Mari in it, and then you just kind of fill in the holes based off of your card pool. But again, right, with if the next item exchange voltage ranking remains on the advanced beat map, what you'll probably see a lot of is Party Mari, Party Kotori, best on attribute card for that particular song. Then you're gonna see a side strategy of, you know, Second Fest Rina, Second Fest Setsu, First Fest Emma from the whales. And then, you know, whales are gonna abuse the switch fills and stuff like that. But yeah, this card really, really good. As you can see, the technique is basically on par between Mari and Koto. The difference is that Mari has 600 more base appeal, and 1100 or 1000 more base stamina. So as far as like total addition of all the stats, Mari is a stronger card. Now, there's going to be arguments. Oh, well, you know, her passive is a little bit worse because it's an all buff and it's not concentrated. You know what? That's okay. Because if you are doing like a dual strat, and let's say you don't have First Fest Emma, like I on my main account, and you're using Noble Princess Rico to heal you. Well, with Mari in there, right, she gives a 2.6% technique buff to Noble Princess Rico. That translates to more healing. That also translates to a higher crit rate on all of your cards. And that's especially good if you're doing this dual strat thing, where you're putting all your chokers on one strategy and like nothing on your second strategy. So, and the worst part about this is this Party Mari comes after a banner where we had 2 fillers, right? Bang for your buck wise, to be able to get 2 fillers off of one banner that were really pretty strong was great. And then the very next limited banner that we get has a card that has the potential to break the meta. So I feel very, very bad for, like, this is one of those times where the whales are sweating, because this can put, if you have bad luck 2 banners in a row, this is potentially over $1,000 worth of stuff that you need to pull for, to keep yourself sort of relevant. But yeah, if you have the gems, like, here's what I'll say about this. If you have the gems and you didn't pull on the last Fest banner because you're like, you know what, I don't have Party Koto, I'm not going to be able to compete anyway. If you have the gems to spark and you're missing Party Koto, try to pull on this banner. Because if you have enough gems to spark, you're at least guaranteed the Mari. But then you give yourself 25 opportunities to pull Party Koto as well. So, you know, you have the opportunity, and we have Justin in our chat and our Discord, who famously has been doing very well voltage ranking wise, but without Party Kotori. If he can sack both Mari and Kotori in one fell swoop, wow. Talk about a power surge to your card pool. But again, only do it if, number 1, you care about voltage competing, and number 2, if you can afford it. There's a lot of people right now coming off of that last Fest banner. You just can't afford it. So, you know, unfortunately now you're either going to have to hope you get it off of the daily paid gem pool, or chance using whatever gems you have left and try and get this card then. But yeah, that'll be it for this slightly longer analysis of Party Mari. TLDR, the card is very good. Pair it with Party Koto. Possibly meta breaking, but we don't know yet. Yeah, that'll be it for us, YouTube. We will see you all later. Take it easy, everyone. Bye!